Hello, Nader. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Omar. How about you?
Pretty good. So what brings you to the tutoring center today?
I'm having some issues with the Lewis structures currently in my Chem 400 class.
Okay.
I took an exam and I didn't do as well as I wanted to.
Really? Okay. So what exactly did you do to study for the exam?
So I took a good hard look at my textbook. I cracked it open, and I closed it.
Really? Okay. So did you block those out in a number of weeks, or did you just cram the day before?
The day before the exam.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would recommend that you don't cram the day before, and instead you spread your study cycles in a span of a few weeks. Do small 30 to 50-minute study sessions, and then take about a 20 to 30-minute break. Also focus on one topic per session.
Alright, I'll try that out.
Alright. Now let's move on. So, could you define for me the goal of a Lewis dot structure?
Something to do with showing the amount of valence electrons within a structure.
Yeah, that's a good start. Let's take a look at your notes.
Okay. Right over there.
Yeah. Ooh,
Ignore the handwriting.
okay. Alright, so when you were taking the notes in class, did you understand it pretty well?
Pretty well.
Pretty well, okay. But when exam day came, that's when you didn't do so well.
I'm not too sure really about the entire concept. I have an easy time drawing some of the electron structures, but other structures completely screw me over.
Okay. So why don't we do a few practice problems?
Alright, sounds good.
Alright. Why don't we do a few problems from here?
Alright, A, B, and C, right?
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah, these are good. These are all correct. It seems like you understand these really well. So let's move on to a different set. Try these ones over here.
Okay, A, B, and C again.
A, B, C, and D.
Alright. These kind of look like the ones that gave me a problem on the test.
Okay.
What do you think?
Okay. Okay, so going off of this, it seems to me that you have a bit of trouble with the octet rule. So can you define for me what the octet rule is?
I believe that every single atom needs about 8 valence electrons.
Yeah, that is the octet rule. However, it seems to me from what you did here that you struggle with the octet rule. So basically, all you need to do is remember for the exceptions to the octet rule is that anything past sulfur in the periodic table can have more than 8 valence electrons, such as the compound sulfur hexafluoride. Also, anything that has an odd number of valence electrons, such as nitrogen monoxide. As a matter of fact, how many valence electrons does nitrogen monoxide contain?
Just drawing a quick little figure, I believe about 11.
Yeah, good job. And also, a structure here like boron trichloride, the boron has less than 8 electrons, right?
Yep.
So anything towards the beginning of the periodic table, such as beryllium, tend to have less than 8 valence electrons in a compound, or they potentially can.
I'll keep these in mind when I go forward.
Alright, so I'd recommend you make a few flashcards that have exceptions to the octet rule. And also, I would do some practice problems from the back of the chapter on Lewis dot structures so that you can solidify this concept.
Alright, we'll start with that.
So I'm going to assign you at least 10 problems if your schedule permits for you to do at home, and then come back with these 10 problems next session.
I can safely do about 10 to 15. Do these look like a good grouping?
Oh yeah, definitely. And also I want you to go back from your previous exam that you took on Lewis dot structures, and I want you to do all the problems that you got wrong over again, and then use the book as a reference, or your notes as a reference, or even your professor as a reference, or come to me if you need help on them to get the correct answer.
Awesome.
And I want to see at least 5 of those problems done and your process for completing them.
Do you mind if we do a few more together?
Yeah, we are definitely going to do a few more together right now.
Awesome.
Alright, why don't we do these problems over here?
No, we're this mature.
The student's main learning goal was to get the hang of Lewis dot structures. It seemed that he was struggling with remembering the different exceptions to the octet rule. In order to assess their skill level, I gave him a series of questions to assess his skill level until we reached the zone of proximal development, in which I realized that he didn't fully understand the exceptions to the octet rule without my assistance. It seemed that he was a novice, so I heavily utilized the instructional explanation technique to remind him of the different exceptions to the octet rule. Lastly, I incorporated growth mindset feedback by giving him effort and strategy-based feedback on his study habits, telling him to improve them by not cramming the day before the exam and instead spreading his study sessions out in a span of a few weeks. As we worked through the problem, my student is gradually getting the hang of them, and I start fading and letting him solve the problems on his own, as you can see here. From this, we will determine his new zone of proximal development next session.